Okay, so I think for like the fourth or fifth video in a row at this point, I'm going to be giving my overall thoughts on the film very early on. We're going to have a really big spoiler section after that, and then we're going to wrap things up with the trailers, okay? Okay, so there'll be breakpoints in between, and again, I'll warn you when the big spoilers come up, alright? Good. Okay, so Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 gets an A. That's my overall thoughts on this. This might be the new most perfect Marvel movie ever made. I don't know if... I think, again, like pretty much all the Galaxy movies, they really don't miss a beat. The cast is great, the performance, like, the writing's good, everything is still very sharp, it holds your attention for the time. Everything goes by, there's not really a lot of true dull moments. If there is a drawback, I would say and this is kind of a minor spoiler, but I have to say it this way, but there are some very intense scenes involving animal experimentation that if you take a child to see, they might not necessarily like. Like I said, I would not recommend taking a child under the age of 9 to see this, and even then, that could be a little bit borderline. Yeah, like I said, they're going to have to be prepared to handle some not-so-fun stuff in the middle of it. Still, though, it's really fun. It's really enjoyable. Again, the one more minor nitpick, I guess, is that there's kind of character overload. Some characters do kind of get the short end of the shift narratively, but again, overall, the narrative, it works really well, and it does a good job of delivering its message. So yes, Guardians Volume 3 gets an A.
It is a world transformed, where things are not what they seem. It is the world of the Transformers.
The Transformers, more than meets the eye. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. The Transformers, robots in disguise. The Transformers, more than meets the eye.
The Transformers from Marvel Comics.
When evil threatens humanity,
It's a life force I've never seen before.
there's only one team of superheroes with the skills,
Winds of destiny change.
the courage,
Got you covered, Hawk.
and the strength
I'm all over it.
to do the job.
Avengers, assemble!
Catch the newest members in the Fox Kids Hall of Champions.
Man's got my attention.
Watch an all-new Avengers later this morning at 11:30, only on Fox Kids.
Okay, two things. Yes, this is the spoiler section, so skip to here if you want to avoid. Now, if you aren't skipping at this point, the way we're going to deal with this is this plot line goes really deep into Rocket Raccoon's backstory, so we're going to handle that as one big chunk kind of in the middle. Alright? There's not too much outside of that other than this, because basically where Guardians Volume 3 picks up, I guess. The Guardians have set up shop in nowhere. They're kind of helping to rebuild the place after Thanos attacked it and attacked the Collector. The Collector is nowhere to be found in this, but they're fixing everything. They seem to be setting everything up, except for Peter Quill, who's he's hit things hard because Gamora is gone. The Gamora that's here has no memory of him, and doesn't seem to be and again, is quite literally not the person she was, or even, the person she was in the first film. She's sort of partly to the person that she becomes in the first film. Even in the beginning, I would say, yeah, she's pre that. But still, she's gone, and he's taking it hard. Added to that, Rocket is also kind of, reminiscing about things that he's not normally reminiscing about. As Radiohead's Creep plays in the background, which is kind of appropriate in a way. Again, the deft use of music throughout all of this. As they're just finishing touches, cleaning everything up, it's then that Adam Warlock comes crashing through the window, Rocket's window, and starts attacking. They have to gang up to beat him. However, in the process, Rocket winds up getting shot by something. He's not doing too well. Quill puts a metapack on him. Unfortunately, this winds up making things worse. And this is where we start to delve into Rocket's backstory. And that's where we're basically getting there. Long and short of it, Rocket was a raccoon who was basically abducted by the High Evolutionary, who's just called... he doesn't have his human name, which I believe was Herbert Wyndham? Or Herbert Land... yeah, Herbert Wyndham in the comics. If you're interested in who the High Evolutionary is there. He pops up primarily in the Warlock Masterworks, something I reviewed way back a few years ago. So... Google Random Trade Review, Warlock Masterworks. I don't know how to do the annotation thing up in the corner. Anyway, the High Evolutionary basically has all of these stored up animals. He experiments on him to get him to the point of loquaciousness. Rocket actually solves a couple of mathematical equations for him. And the evolutionary basically reveals that he's trying to build the perfect world. He's built several, and he's trying to do a new one called Counter Earth. And on this planet, he's been able to speed up animal evolution to the point that they can become practically humanoid. Unfortunately, they are too viciously, they're just too prone to anger. They can't handle the stress of it. And what Rocket is able to piece together is that there's this air filtration system that's keeping these proteins from developing, and he does it within seconds, and it works. And so, as the High Evolutionary is working on making his new world, Rocket thinks he's going to be part of that, and he manages to convince several other experiments, Lila the otter, Teefs the walrus, and Flora the bunny, that we're all going to live together on this perfect planet, and it's going to be great. We'll all be together, and they befriend each other as he has to endure a lot of experiments still. And as this happens, though, like I said, Rocket's suggestion works, and this actually really upsets the High Evolutionary that his underling just completely usurped him, and he wants to know how it is that this happened. And so he wants Rocket's brain dissected, and Rocket kind of wonders, well, wait, weren't we all supposed to live together on Counter Earth? And he's like, no, only my perfect beings live on this planet because it's going to be perfect. Not rejects like you, you're destined to be terminated. And Rocket tries to break his friends out to get them to safety. However, as this is happening, it turns out all of these experiments have built-in kill switches. So if they try to do anything out of the ordinary, the High Evolutionary can just push a button and that's it. Like I said, not a lot of fun imagery in the parts of this movie, unfortunately. And as we move briefly to the present, this is what's happened with Rocket when they tried to... He had somehow managed to just barely able to disable his kill switch. I think, one, he attacks the High Evolutionary and rips off his face. And manages to escape as the High Evolutionary is unconscious, and he gets far enough away that they can't activate the kill switch without the High Evolutionary also being in the area. And so from there, as we move back to the present, when Rocket was getting his kill switch got activated when he got shot, and so they're trying to do their best to stymie its effects while trying to find an override key. Now, as for Adam Warlock, well, it turns out one of these races that the High Evolutionary created were the Sovereign, which is Warlock's people. Obviously, if you're, again, this is not the necessarily messianic character you've seen in the Marvel comics, unfortunately, or fortunately, maybe if you don't want that, but there's a little bit of aspects to it. The idea is he got pulled out of his cocoon a little too soon, so he's not fully developed yet, and he doesn't have great comprehension of things. In fact, at one point they are, because, I guess I haven't mentioned this yet, Gamora joined up with the Ravagers, and they're helping the Guardians basically infiltrate this facility run by the High Evolutionary. That's where Rocket was first developed. So hopefully they can find this override for the kill switch. And one of the Ravagers gets kidnapped, and they're torturing him, and Warlock doesn't quite understand the idea of just torturing him, and completely kills him. However, this guy had this little creature as a pet that Warlock actually seems to take to, and he says, no, I don't want to kill it. Well, the High Sovereign is just, vehemently like, no, you have to kill it. You have to kill these people. And you see Warlock start to change a little bit. And as this happens, the Guardians realize that the kill switch isn't at this facility. They have to locate this one guy on Counter-Earth. And so that's where they go, and that's where they land on this, in this little suburb place where Drax throws the ball off of the little kid's face. I guess, yeah, again, like, I suppose I should actually delve a little bit into the other Guardians arcs in this, and there's unfortunately not much to it. Like, Drax and Mantis are trying to, like, find their new ways in the world because, Thanos is gone, so Drax doesn't have anyone to get his vengeance on. None of that matters anymore, and he's kind of wandering around trying to figure out, well, when's the next fight going to happen? When's the next fight going to happen? And he needs to find his new role because he's not really the Destroyer anymore. While Mantis is, she's the person who goes around feeling other people's feelings. However, this has begun to grate on her, and she's actually trying to encourage, like, Peter to maybe be a bit more open to being a family again and returning to Earth so that he can reconnect with his surviving family members. And, Peter's just not really up for that. Mantis is still trying to find what she needs to do in the universe as well. Gamora, I guess. Gamora, like I said, is still the Gamora that's even pre the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, so she's not really found herself. She's decided to go off with the Ravagers rather than hang out with Peter because he's constantly trying to make her into the Gamora that he knows. And it's like, I don't know if I can ever be that. Though slowly as the movie goes on, she kind of rummages through some of Peter's stuff and sees these keepsakes and mementos and realizes that maybe he isn't entirely a bad person. And that kind of brings us to Nebula. Nebula has spent much of her time kind of caring for Peter because he's in a drunken stupor and looking over him. And admittedly, as Gamora, if you've seen the one trailer, Gamora kind of calls him out on it, like, look, you two have been hanging out together a lot too. Are you sure you're not, you don't have feelings for her? And, I think she's trying to settle in the idea that, yeah, I want these people in my life and I want to be with them. And that's still kind of a hard thing to say sometimes when you've, the only other person you truly cared for, tortured and, cyber enhanced you and did all this, did what Thanos did to her. And so that's kind of her story arc as well, as learning to accept that she does have a family now. There's also Kargin. I can never remember his name. I called him Ivan for some reason because I thought that was his name. But he's still trying to learn to use Yondu's Mohawk harpoon. He's been struggling with that, and he's developed a sporting rivalry with Cosmo, the Soviet dog, who got bombarded with cosmic rays and turned into a master telepath. Cosmo's a girl in this one. Usually Cosmo is depicted as a boy. And while they were in a contest together, he calls Cosmo a bad dog, and it really hurts her feelings. And that's pretty much everyone else's arc in this. So anyway, the Guardians are on Counter-Earth. Peter sets up a meeting with the High Evolutionary, which, everyone says, why are you doing this? You know it's a trap. It's like, it's not a trap, it's a face-off. Trust me. And it actually turns out he did know what he was doing because he used Groot to smuggle in a bunch of weapons. So when the High Evolutionary does attack, they start fighting back. They get the one guy. However, in the process, everyone gets separated. Warlock tries to grab Rocket. A couple other guys try to grab Rocket. They get him back, but they get the override chip. And Rocket looks like he's going to die. He sees Lila and the others again in heaven, but she tells him, like, you're welcome to come, but not now because it's not your time. You're still needed. And they send him back. He returns back to his body, he returns back to life, and they need to face the High Evolutionary one more time. And I guess I should point out, again, what the High Evolutionary is constantly trying to do. He's trying to create the perfect world. And every time he does, something goes wrong with it. And in this case, he's created a Counter-Earth, and it looks fine, and then as they start, as Gamora and Star-Lord, Peter not Gamora. I keep saying Nebula and Peter and Groot are planning this meeting. He goes in and like they're driving. And they realize they just drove through. Yeah, they went from the idyllic suburb to a ghetto, and he realizes, hell, wow. I thought this was supposed to be the perfect planet. Why are there drug dealers? Why? Yeah. Why is there street crime? Why? Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh. Yeah, so yeah, he proceeds to destroy Counter-Earth. He's going to set out to try to do this again. He wants Rocket's brain because he wants to try to integrate it into his own body. He basically reconstructed his face. It's all stretched out over his scars, and that sets up the final mission. However, as this is happening too, a lot of his underlings are starting to rumble. They're starting to get the idea that, hey, again, maybe this guy isn't entirely on the up and up. In the process, the High Sovereign is killed, which upsets Warlock, and he's still kind of antagonistic towards the Guardians, but you can tell at one point Groot saves him, and again he points out, like, look, you're not a bad guy. I don't think you're a bad... And Groot basically, not in his I am Groot voice, basically said, look, you're not a bad person. I know you're probably deep down a good guy. I've seen you care for this animal, so... I think you need to understand who the real bad guy is here. And, he kind of realizes that, and at one point, when Star-Lord gets trapped outside the ship, Warlock jumps out and rescues him and pulls him back in. And there's a big meeting between Rocket and the High Evolutionary. Rocket finds more animal experiments, including raccoons. He had long been in denial of his species, but he finds, yes, he is actually an augmented Earth raccoon. He finds several other animal experiments. He also finds several children because his next experiment was going to be humans again, including one named Phyla, which is a reference to Phyla Vel, a Cree, who's part Cree. Phyla is... I get in the complicated legacy of Marvel, Captain Marvel, and the Marvel comics, but yeah, not Carol Danvers, Marvel, the one who dies of cancer, also the one Annette Bening played in the first Captain Marvel movie, if that helps out at all. So she, in the comics, Phyla becomes Quasar, and so she's actually one who winds up bonding with Drax, and manages to teach him enough of their language so that he can help get them to safety. And Drax finds his new role as basically a mentor to these kids to teach them how to be good. They eventually, what happens, they defeat the High Evolutionary, they blow the place up, they get back to nowhere, they get all the kids, every, one of the High Evolutionary's experiments are saved. And it's kind of there that Peter realizes, almost dying kind of made me realize, I really need to go back home and try to smooth things over. Because, if you can't remember, back to the first movie, when Peter's mother was dying, he couldn't bear to talk to her, and his grandfather came out and chewed him out, and that's kind of what drove him away. And so, he's going to try to see if his grandfather is still alive, and see if he can reconnect with some of these family members. And so that's where his arc... And we'll get to the mid-credits and stuff, okay? Nebula and Drax decide to stay on Nowhere and help rebuild again, and basically run security there. Gamora returns to the Ravagers. She does talk with Peter a little bit and say, again, I don't think I can ever be the Gamora you want me to be, but I can still... be a good person. I can still try to be a good person and understand, it's not that I don't like you, it's just, I'm never going to be that Gamora again, unfortunately. And, Peter comes to accept that. And basically, Rocket and Groot are left in charge of the new Guardians of the Galaxy. It's Rocket, Groot, Warlock, Phyla, Carter. I cannot remember his damn name. James Gunn's brother's character. And I think there's one more, I can't remember who. It's Cosmo, yeah, and Cosmo. And mid-credit scene, you see them on this mission on a planet, and it's this little settlement where they're having to deal with these animal stampedes, and, you know, Phyla kind of points out to them that, hey, these creatures, have a right to live too. It's like, yeah, but they're attacking these villagers who haven't done anything to them. So we just need to reroute them. We don't need to necessarily kill them. We just need to get them away from the village so that so that new ways can be found here. And I guess I forgot Mantis. Mantis again, because she's starting to try to find her emotional core and what she needs to do. Early on, there were some creatures that were going to attack them, and she managed to talk them down. And she sort of realized, like, hey, maybe I need to go try to find my own emotional core while working with others to fix things on my own and not with part of the group, and that's basically her too. Yeah, she leaves. Peter makes it back, does manage to reconnect with his grandfather. It's strange. He knocks on the door. He says, "I'm looking for Jason Quill." The woman says, "Oh, yeah, I could take you to him. He's right there." And within seconds, he automatically knows it's Peter. I guess, sometimes there's that familial thing, but yeah, in this case, it's been like 35 years. Yeah, I don't think he looks exactly like Chris Pratt all the time. Still, yeah, it's a nice ending. And then end credits, we see them talking over breakfast, and he asks Peter to mow the lawn. He's like, "Really? You want me to just mow the lawn? Like, no one's going to notice this weird, 38-year-old guy has suddenly showed up?" I'm like, no, they'll accept it. Okay. Under the idea, I guess he probably told him a lot about what has happened. And then it says, Peter Quill, Star-Lord, will return. So at some point we're going to get a Star-Lord solo movie, I guess. And that's pretty much it. Boy, I hope it wasn't too terribly long. Yeah, so, okay, that's, like I said, pretty much it. Like I said, overall, like, everything works, everything's fine, fire's on point. Like I said, the imagery of Rocket and his friends being experimented on, a lot of the other animals getting changed, might be a little too hard for some kids to take. There weren't a lot of kids at my screening, but yeah, like, I can see where, yeah, there might be some squeeziness that happens in there, or queasiness, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And again, if you're looking, like, I would say, again, Drax's arc is fine, Mantis' arc is fine, but I just don't think they were on the screen long enough. This is very much a Rocket Raccoon movie, and then more than it is a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So yeah, I think that's kind of the problem. Like, I don't think Peter gets a bit of it, but yeah, it's just like it wasn't always there. And again, it was just like every time we were dealing with Peter, again, trying to reason with Gamora, trying to say, no, you were like this and like this and like this. There's just more of, I just want to get back to Rocket. Can we please just get back to Rocket? So yeah, that was kind of my little problems with those parts. But yeah, like I said, other than that, those are minor quibbles. So yeah, do go see this movie.
Fine. I'll challenge you for it. You're on. Yes, I won!
We will meet again.
The X-Men have hit Burger King. Now in every Big Kids meal, you can get one of the X-Men like Cyclops or Rogue. And a mini CD-ROM with games and original .comic adventures. Rated E for everyone. You can collect all 8 at Burger King, home of the real Big Kids meal.
When evil threatens the world.
Ha! The city is mine! Not so fast, Crossbones! Avengers, assemble! Hulk, smash!
Bigger figures mean bigger action with Marvel Avengers Titan Hero Series, each sold separately.
Okay, trailer time. We got 7 trailers. We're finally starting to get some new ones again. We have the Knights of the Zodiac movie, Across the Spider-Verse again, The Boogeyman, Fast X, and then we had Transformers Rise of the Beasts, Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, and rounded off things with The Flash. Knights of the Zodiac, I know that's an adaptation of our Saint Seiya. Knights of the Zodiac, I believe, was the dub title. Yeah, a movie they're so high on that they literally put it out a week after Guardians of the Galaxy, so yeah, they kind of Bob's Burgers did. Like, yeah, you're... hopefully that does well for the people who made the movie. I don't want them to be in a bomb, but... I say it's fucking a bomb. Like, yeah. You know, I don't think even the diehard Knights of the Zodiac fans are going to necessarily be tearing down theater doors for it, especially if they still might not have seen the Marvel movie yet. After that, you know, The Boogeyman, which is coming up the same week as Across the Spider-Verse. I was maybe thinking of seeing that, but it's like, well, I don't know. If it's like, if I gotta see Across the Spider-Verse, I gotta see Across the Spider-Verse first. Fast X. Transformers looks fun. You know, we did get the one where they talked about Unicron this time. Indiana Jones looks alright. Flash. Oh dear. Yeah, so, yeah. Anyway, next movie review is going to be Little Mermaid, and then Across the Spider-Verse, like I said. I don't know what to do after that, necessarily. After that, we have the next video, which is going to be the recap and review for WWE WrestleMania Backlash. And then it's going to probably... I am trying to get... I have some test footage recorded for the wrestling thing I wanted to do. The WWE 2K23 eFed thing I wanted to do. So, yeah, I'm going to try that, but I understand it's going to be test footage you're going to be seeing, so it's not going to be very smooth and nice looking, and well, it's going to be kind of clunky early on because I'm still trying to find my footing on that. I'll explain more when I put that up. And then the random trade review on Ghost Rider Team Up. See you all next time. Hey guys, remember you can request a movie or a television series for me to review at my Patreon at patreon.com/sleepytime for Cat Productions. Also, remember to like the video, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you can be alerted to further videos.